Boom. Aldous Huxley, The Island. And this is a interesting book, like so many of Aldous Huxley's ideas. Now, this was his last novel. But let's get right into it because this one caught me off guard. So there's this guy and he goes to this island. And of course the island is presented as this utopia. It's not perfect, but it almost seems like it is on the right track to be a perfect utopia. The people on the island, of course, they are living in a bubble separate from the rest of the world. And, you know, unlike most books that try to describe this subject of a perfect society, they mostly it turns out to be a of course a dystopia where we are presented with this facade of tranquility and what have you, but then once you strip all of that away, of course it is obvious that what we're dealing with here is a sham, that there's darkness behind all of this light. But in this case, the island appears to be what it is. It is almost a perfect society. And it is a interesting but weird mix of, these people, they live essentially in nature, but they don't shun away science and logic and rationale and all of these tools for thinking, right? But they also, at the same time, they also emphasize the need for not necessarily organized religion, but spirituality. And it's really interesting here because the people on this island, they don't pick and choose one or the other, one religion or the other, or one type of thinking and just shun the rest. They're eclectic. They just check everything out and they assimilate or they pick what they want, without uh, almost demonizing the rest, which is a hallmark or a trademark of what happens in society as history goes along. One society might pick a religion and just say, this is it, and the rest are garbage, and that's it. And they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. They don't do their research. They don't read. Uh, they just read the surface. They don't. They don't plummet into the depths of something, a subject matter. And these people are interesting. The society they live in also is fascinating. We are presented with this paradise in the jungle of this island, and the people seem to be doing well. There's of course order. There is no crime. There is no corruption. The leadership isn't decadent. The society isn't filthy and loathsome. The youth isn't disrespectful or lewd. Uh, there is respect. There is a sort of a sort of sense of belonging, a sort of conscientious awareness that your actions might cause ripples and that you will be forever ashamed. And essentially these people try to live decent lives, what we should all aspire to do. And that's pretty much it. But somewhere somewhere in the last chapters, I forgot what exactly happens, but I think outsiders come along and they influence the one member of the royal family, and of course changes have to be made. Uh, you know, what essentially happens is the corruption of the young leadership, and this we are left with the what you might call it, the prophecy or the prediction that the island also might be corrupted by the outside decadence, that even paradise, because of just a few people that come in and shake things around, this will seal this island's fate. That even this perfect society will eventually be degraded and so on by greed and vanity and ignorance and so on and so forth. This is a great example of how to write this sort of subject matter. Right, I prefer this to Brave New World because Brave New World is extremely mathematical. It is extremely rigid in a way. This book flows better. This book allows itself to breathe. It goes in different places. It just doesn't stick with, just this little subject, and it develops in many ways. It's a nice little, what do you might call it? This is a nice, coherent, compressed, compact uh, summary of what exactly happens to every society. It doesn't matter what period of history it is. It starts out naive, innocent, pure, and then it just goes to shit because of greed, because of aspirations, because of, you just want more things, you want more land, you want more resources, you want more, etc. You forget your principles. That's a big thing in this novel because these people are presented as people with high standards and high principles. They're spiritual people, they're not religious people, but they don't shun science and rational thinking and logic. And we are left with the advent of a revolution, a rebellion, where some people want to expand. They want to be connected to the world, while others, of course, know that this is a really bad idea. Because once you connect with the corrupt underbelly, you have to go long. There is no, it's like in the mafia. You just cannot leave with your life. You go through the door feet first in a casket usually. That's what happens. And a good example of this would be, you join the European Union or NATO or the United Nations or whatever. These big cabals, or they're criminal organizations essentially. You join them, you're done, boy. And that's what happens in the island. The island, a part of the island, wants to join, to be recognized, to be modern, and that will essentially lead to its downfall. It will become just another piece of uh, the degraded puzzle that is humankind. Because when things aren't done purely for, you know, high standards or high principles, and they're done for, these low vibrational desires, investments, fame, notoriety, for riches, and so on. When a society, a tribe, a clan, a tradition, a culture, a civilization, when they stray from the correct path, that is, just be a decent person and mind your own business and strive for the best, when they stray from that and they join the hustle almost. When that happens, the end result is usually the same. They will become just another part of the same. All that is unique and special and exotic and wonderful about them will be lost. And every single person on this island will be just like everybody else. Soon they'll all be wearing skinny jeans, and they all will have smartphones and whatever, and they'll read nothing but memes all day, right? And that maybe isn't that bad, but still, it is in part a disease, and that's what happens in the island. It's a wonderful book. I really don't have any complaints. Aldous Huxley does a great job with this, and you should read it because this is a template for, like I said, what happens to any society when it loses its way. And if you look outside the window, this is a continuous process. It keeps getting worse, and sometimes you have to blame not only yourself, but those you trust the most, your leaders, your family, your priests, and so on. But of course, nobody really does this. They find scapegoats, and that's a sad thing. Great book. Keep on reading.